Today, we will be talking with the acting head of the Hydrometeorological Service in Guyana. His name is Dr. Garvin Cummins. Dr. Cummins, thank you for sitting with us. What we're going to basically start off by doing, since you are the acting head of this office in Guyana, you would be just introducing the Hydrometeorological Service just for sensitization of the general public.
The Hydrometeorological Service was established in 1965 with the general purpose of providing weather and hydrological information to Guyanese citizens and stakeholders both nationally and internationally, as well as regionally in terms of the Caribbean region. The mandate of the Hydrometeorological Service is detailed in the Water and Sewage Act of 2002. Essentially, the Act mandates the service to manage all of Guyana's water resources. These include both surface and subsurface water, or surface and groundwater as we call them, but as well as atmospheric water, which we call meteorology or weather services. The service was established, like I said, in 1965, and the mandate was renewed and expanded in 2002 to really encompass the largest scope of water resources management in the country.
Moving on, we would like to zero in on weather and climate.
Yes, sure.
In your perspective, sir, would you be able to say how is the Hydrometeorological Service doing in terms of providing such information to the public, as well as what can be done? Sorry.
All right, so at a very fundamental level, I believe that we are trying to provide all of the services that we are mandated to provide. But that has been done in the midst of a number of challenges and circumstances. But I believe, given the resources that we've got, we are given the best that we can. We are required to provide services for agriculture in order to provide guidance and support in terms of decision making, and as weather and climate information. Weather, we're speaking about very short weather forecasts or predictions. On the seasonal level, we're talking about more long term, what might be the expected rainfall for the next rainfall season, or sunshine or temperature, so that farmers can be guided by that sort of information. On a daily basis, we provide as well aeronautical services, or services to support air navigation or for civil aviation support. And that's provided at the two international airports that we have, the Chedijagan International Airport and the Eugene Correa International Airport. So we have offices that are operating at those two airports on a 24-hour basis. In addition to that, we also have responsibility for monitoring ground and surface water. We have a number of water monitoring stations across the country that provide water level data for rivers, for our conservancies. In terms of groundwater, we do not currently have a groundwater monitoring network. In terms of climatology, we have a number of stations across the country that are continuously measuring and recording Guyana's weather, Guyana's climate, to determine for use in planning as well. So historical trend can be used for planning. We also, at the Hydromet Service, we also manage or overlook the National Ozone Action Unit, which is the office that is responsible for the implementation of the Montreal Protocol and the Vienna Convention with regard to protection of the ozone layer and the control of ozone-depleting substances in the country. So that, in a nutshell, summarizes the general scope of the mandate of Hydromet and what we do here. In terms of our challenges, some of the main challenges I would say at Hydromet would have to be in terms of human resources and human resource capacity. We are heavily science-based, so in order to gain entry for employment in the Hydromet Service, you would have to have the basics in terms of CSEC subjects, mathematics, English language, physics, chemistry, biology. That's the type of subjects that we're talking about for entry into the service. Unfortunately, when persons complete their secondary school examination with those subjects, the choice of career does not usually point them in the direction of hydromet service. Perhaps they're thinking more about engineering or medicine or discipline of that sort. Hydromet is not one of the more popular disciplines. So we've had challenges in terms of attracting young persons into the service. We've also had challenges in terms of retaining persons with that sort of background. Because when persons would have studied for those subjects, they have expectations in terms of what their remuneration packages should look like. Unfortunately, we are still a part of the traditional public service, and the sort of packages that are on offer does not compare to the other disciplines that might require similar qualifications. So it does not compare to somebody who would have completed a degree in medicine, for example, or a degree in civil engineering, who's an engineer in the public sector, or even in the private sector. So the challenge is really an HR issue, trying to attract staff who are trained in the disciplines and who are willing to stay on for the sort of packages that we have on offer.
Okay. Okay, so with regards to the challenges of human resources, would you be able to say if the Hydromet office, or moreover Ministry of Agriculture, is currently pursuing any sort of strategy whereby they could have better recruitment, especially of those children who are now coming out of school and looking for careers or choosing career choices? Or are you doing anything to retain those that might have been trained or anything in that regard?
Right, so on the training side, I believe that we have seen significant investments in the last couple of years directed towards training of personnel. We currently do have, in fact, staff outside of Guyana who are being trained in the disciplines of meteorology and hydrology, both at the bachelor's and the master's level. So in the medium to long term, I believe that we are going to be in a position where the HR circumstances will be significantly improved. However, I think whether we are doing anything at the secondary school level, I don't think that we are doing enough. We certainly can do more in terms of exposing the sciences, the benefits, or the benefits that they can bring to society if one should study hydrometeorology. Unfortunately, it is a bit outside of our control to make those remuneration packages a bit more attractive. But I think we are heading in the right direction in terms of investments in training. The challenge is always whether or not we'll have the return on investments, because as much as hydrometeorology is a science, we also want to have people working in that science for a very long period of time, where they can garner the experience that would allow them to provide the best possible product, so that we can improve our accuracy in terms of our forecasting, and therefore improve decision making at the national level, so that the best sort of decisions can be made, and hopefully the best possible outcomes can result as well.
Okay, before I move on, I wanted to touch on something. You mentioned that there is currently not a groundwater monitoring system in place. I would like to ask, why is that, and if we can expect one anytime?
Right. So we have in the last couple of months been able to attract a young hydrogeologist in the service. So she is currently working with the World Meteorological Organization to develop a monitoring system for Guyana in terms of groundwater. But we are really in the initial stages of this project idea. What we are doing, though, in addition to that, is we are trying currently to establish a national inventory of groundwater wells, whether those wells are shallow or deep wells. So we have now, in the last 5 to 6 months, been able to generate a fairly accurate map of the wells that are being utilized across the country. We have essentially completed, I would say, most of Region 4, a major part of the General Coast, as well as in Region 9 as well. So we are heading in that direction to establish, hopefully by the end of 2018, we should be well on our way in terms of establishing a groundwater monitoring system for the country.
Okay, and this is my last question. With regards to having the public aware as to what the Hydrometeorological Service does, more specifically with regards to weather and climate. I know the other stuff is important, but you know, everybody's becoming more and more concerned about the weather especially. I would like to know what is being done. Are you collaborating with any agencies, or is there anything else being done in order to further sensitize the public?
All right, yes, we have been working with a number of our partners to ensure that information that we are providing is relevant, is useful to the persons that need it the most. We have been meeting with our main stakeholders to ensure that climate and weather information is accessible. One such activity is the holding of the National Climate Outlook Forums that we had, the first in early 2015, before the beginning of the primary rainfall season. We've had National Climate Outlook Forum at the end of 2016 and before the beginning of this rainfall season. We bring together all of the stakeholders in one room. We share with them the forecast. We have comments from them in terms of what they think about the forecast, the language. We've also been working with the UNDP to improve the language that we use so that farmers can understand the forecast and they can make decisions. We've also been working with the Caribbean Institute for Meteorology and Hydrology in collaboration with the University of Reading in the UK to develop a program we call Participatory Integrated Climate Services for Agriculture, directing climate and weather information specifically for agricultural purposes. We also have an active website where weather forecasts are available for different parts of the country, as well as we share our radar images, our satellite imagery. And we have an ongoing PR campaign to sensitize members of the public on the need to register groundwater wells as well.
All right, thank you for that. That's a good one. Today we will be speaking with one of the meteorologists working at the National Weather Watch Center in Tumeri. His name is Mr. Lyndon Alves. Lyndon Alves will be telling us about some of the work that is done at the Weather Watch Center. He will be also explaining to us the challenges as well as the office's responsibility to the nation. Mr. Alves, thank you for sitting with us.
You're welcome.
So we're going to just start off by you telling us a bit of the importance of weather and climate information or weather and climate data.
Well, for every facet of your daily life, weather and climate is important. Now, in the case of agriculture, weather and climate is important from the conception stage of an agricultural project to the culmination. You could take, for example, one of these new crops that they're trying to introduce in Guyana. Let's say potatoes or onions. Now, even before you go to the field, you would need to know what the climatic conditions of the area is like, what the rainfall is, when you expect the rainfall, what the temperature is, when you'll have the lowest temperatures, when you'll have the highest temperatures. These are all things that you would need to know before you even go to the fields. Construction, if you're going to build a road, you need to know like how much water, how much rainfall the area would normally get. If you need to build a drain, you need to know the amount of water that is expected over a given period of time so that you'll know the capacity that you need to build this drain or trench or canal, what capacity needs to be. Something as simple as building your house. You need to know, for example, where the wind would normally blow from, because it's customary. Most persons would normally build their homes so that the bedrooms are in the same direction where the wind is coming from. So anything you could think about, weather and climate is very important. When you leave home in the morning to go to work, you might want to know, in Guyana it's not that prevalent that we need to know exactly what to wear, but you might want to know, should I take an umbrella or should I take a raincoat? Should I wear a long boots or whatever the case might be? So weather and climate is important in every facet of your lives.
Okay, and in that regard, how is the National Weather Watch Center factored into that kind of situation?
Well, first we need to differentiate between weather and climate. Well, weather is a common thing that is said is weather is what you get, climate is what you expect. But to go a bit deeper than that, weather is what takes place from a short period of time, the state of the atmosphere over a short period of time. Climate speaks of what is the weather over, or what is the state of atmosphere over a very long period of time. Now, the National Weather Center deals with weather and not so much the climate. So you would expect us, or you can expect us to provide your daily weather forecasts, whether it be for the public or private sector. We also have a very integral role to play in the aviation community, national and international aviation community. We provide them with the necessary warnings, the necessary information, whether it be information for taking off, simple parking on the runway, to provide information for the aviation community for that reason.
Would you be able to tell us about your responsibility as a meteorologist to the nation? What are some of the challenges as well as some of the good things, if you'd be able to touch on that a bit, about working in this sector?
Well, meteorology in the world is a very exciting field. There's never a dull day. It's, to some extent, it's routine work, but a lot of times it's not as routine. So you might have a different situation popping up now and again. So that was what makes it exciting and rewarding. Now, for the importance of what we do, with regards to the challenges, it's staffing. That is the challenge number one. Meteorology is science-based career. You need your maths, your physics to get into meteorology. Now, not being one of the most popular careers and competing with careers like engineering, your engineering subjects, medicine, and some of the more attractive careers, it's very difficult to not just to attract, but to maintain a suitably qualified staffing. So that is one of the major challenges. And on the lighter side, it's the more or less non-recognition of the work that is being done by the very small group of staff.
So as somebody working within the meteorology sector, would you be able to just throw a proposal out there, at least one or two that would be able to help with some of the challenges that you currently face?
Well, to begin with, I would encourage students from the secondary schools to stay in line with your science subjects. That would, at the inception, it's not one of the most rewarding things you will do, financially that is. I always say that there are very few billionaires who are scientists. So if you're going to get into it, it has to be for the love of the arts. You know, billionaires would be economists and bankers and the works. But it's a rewarding career. It allows you to have a great appreciation for a lot of things, whether it be how things occur in nature, why they occur, when they're expected to occur. It also, personally, I think it helps you with your day-to-day life. It gives you the ability to reason far better. So even though it's difficult, it's, at the end of the day, it helps you a lot. So focus on your sciences, whether it be maths, physics, chemistry, biology. Focus on them, and you could be sure that at least at Hydromet, you will have a place.
Okay. On that note, we know not everybody would be interested in the sciences, but you're encouraging that, and I like that. However, for the persons or the general public, moreover, who may not be able to interpret or understand information coming out of your department, how would you be able to make it easier for them? What would be some of your suggestions in that regard?
Well, we've recognized that issue, that a lot of persons say that we speak a different language. As I said before, the career is highly scientific, and hence most times the scientific jargon. we could only simplify to a certain extent. We cannot go beyond, we cannot oversimplify what the information that we're trying to portray to the public. What we've been trying to do is on every outreach, every time you have Guy Expo or Linen Expo, Boris, whichever expo you have and we're invited, we would normally participate and we would take booklets that we would share to the general public. We also share these booklets to students when they visit our office at Timeri, so that we could try to get them on the same page. When we say partly cloudy, what are we referring to? We're referring to cloud coverage and not rainfall. When we say scattered showers, we're referring to the areas that will get the probability of your area getting a shower or two during the course of the day. I would also encourage persons to call the office. We are always there 24 hours a day, and we're always happy to explain anything, whether it be how to interpret a satellite image, whether to how to interpret your radar image, how to interpret the forecast. That's the reason why we're there. So if there's any person out there or any business, anyone who needs for something to be explained to them, they could do it, and we're always happy to impart that scientific knowledge so that they have a great appreciation.
Okay, and I hear you when you say that you simplify, but you could only simplify to an extent. Science can only be made that easy. But apart from the booklets that you share and all that, are there any other methods on the cards that are any other ways that you're looking at to reach the public more in that regard?
Well, from the National Weather Center perspective, we've done a few videos. We've been on Farmers Connection. I think we did a program of Farmers Connection. And we've done a few other things with regards to getting the news, getting the information out.
So, thank you very much, Mr. Alves. You're welcome. Much appreciated.